The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week on FRCmedia News, how will the Republican tax and spending plan in Washington impact community health in Fall River? We preview the upcoming City Pride Month events, and we look back at the Memorial Day commemorations held last weekend. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, May 29th, 2025. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. Last week, Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives passed a tax and spending plan that will preserve tax cuts while trimming social service programs Democrats say could negatively impact millions of poor and working Americans. Programs impacted may include access to health care through Medicaid or Mass Health here in Massachusetts. All Democrats voted no on the bill, including Massachusetts 4th District Congressman Jake Auchincloss, who serves Fall River. He calls the bill one of the most fiscally irresponsible he has seen in his time in office.
Even if you get health care through your employer, you're still going to suffer from this legislation because you're going to pay a lot more. Because what's going to happen is all those people who got kicked off of Medicaid, they still get sick, right? Mm-hmm. And instead of going to a community health center, now they go to an emergency room where it costs about 10 times more. The care is less comprehensive. Hospitals have to subsidize that uncompensated care by charging more to the commercial health insurance corporations, who then pass on those higher premiums to employers. That is a well understood healthcare phenomenon. And what it's going to mean is that the middle class, already being squeezed by childcare, already being squeezed by healthcare, already being squeezed by housing, is now going to pay even more.
Health First Family Care Center in Fall River serves 13,000 city residents, 55% of whom receive Medicaid benefits. Executive Director Dr. Lisa Jones says the residents who seek health, dental, and behavioral health services from Health First often do so knowing they can access quality care they may not otherwise receive. She feels that if fewer people seek health care resulting from a cut in benefits, Fall River would become a less healthy community.
The downstream impacts of not getting health care aren't always immediately obvious to folks. You would wind up with a less healthy workforce, which would drive up employer health plan costs. You'd wind up with kids with more fractured education because they are out more often because they're sick, or they're going to the emergency department for a toothache, and their education or their learning would be impacted by poor health. I would worry about the rise in substance use disorder or overdose death. That number decreased for the first time in a number of years last year, and I would worry that particularly opioid-related deaths would increase if there was no Health First or no STAR available to take care of patients.
Dr. Jones says that along with potential cuts in benefits, reporting requirements in the bill will add a barrier to receiving coverage.
There is a lot of talk about increasing, or included in this version of the budget, is increasing the requirement to verify that you're eligible for Medicaid to twice a year. So if everybody just stopped for a second and thought about whether they have ever forgotten to renew a driver's license or sent a belated birthday card because they forgot a birthday, our lives get in the way of the things we need to accomplish. And when you're asking people to renew their Medicaid eligibility twice a year, you're setting people up to fail. You're setting people who are eligible, who should be eligible, up for losing insurance simply over administrative and bureaucratic details. You think about work requirements. 92% of people on Medicaid already work, right? But now you're expecting those people to be able to prove on a month-by-month basis that they're employed. Another paperwork burden. Or what happens if you're employed as a babysitter? Or in the gig economy, more and more people don't have jobs from which they get a paycheck every month. Their income varies from month to month or comes from multiple sources. How are they going to verify that they're working? There's a lot of barriers that will be put in front of patients that will then translate to being put in front of Health First.
Dr. Jones says community health centers have traditionally received bipartisan support from state and federal leaders, and she's concerned that cuts in Medicaid could jeopardize their future.
And nobody likes to talk about the impact on organizations of significant cuts. Certainly, health centers run very lean to start out with, and we do a number of community benefit programs or services that don't make us money, might lose us money, but are important for the community. And obviously, when you have less income coming in, you have to think about whether or not those community benefit, non-financial benefit programs are viable. I am hopeful, or I am wishing that those citizens that would be impacted by Medicaid cuts, which I would argue is all of us, would reach out to their representative, their elected officials, and make it plain that Medicare is too vital to cut, and health centers are too important to lose, and that's what we risk having happen if there are significant Medicaid cuts.
There are still steps left in the legislative process before any Medicaid cuts could take effect. The House bill is now before the Senate, which must first approve or make changes to the bill before being signed into law by President Donald Trump. The House bill may also impact funds coming into the city of Fall River. Mayor Paul Coogan says the talk coming from Washington is worrying.
With the push to eliminate the Department of Education, I keep hearing they want to send the money directly back to the cities, but if that doesn't bear out, then you're looking at Title I, II, III, that there's a ton of federal money that goes into the public schools. And then when you get to the city side, Community Development Agency, all of these earmarks or grants that we have, whether it's the $10 million for lead pipe removal or some of the street projects that are funding, or grants for our public safety people. There's a lot of grants that pour into the city of Fall River, and of course we'll keep looking for them. But if all those things, in the worst case scenario, came to be and there were massive cuts, we'd be looking at definitely a different city government.
Meanwhile, this week the Fall River City Council began its hearings on the FY 2026 municipal budget. During a presentation Tuesday, Interim Chief Financial Officer Emily Arpke laid out to the council where in the over $500 million budget much of the spending increases will occur.
We did also return to zero-based budgeting to reduce unexpended expenses and to fund a few major increases totaling $16.2 million this year. Solid waste collection contract increased by $3.4 million between the current fiscal year and FY 26. The first long-term debt is included in the Diamond assessment at $4.6 million. Education expenses increased by $1.4 million more than state education funding increased. The education expenses are due to the transportation, but also to meet net school spending. Health insurance is budgeted at $3.4 million higher than the current fiscal year. And the pension assessment increased by the $3.4 million to meet the 2035 funding deadline at this time.
The City Council has until the end of June to either approve, reject, or reduce the city budget before it takes effect on July 1st. Mayor Coogan says he's also closer to naming a new city administrator. He says he will likely recruit from within city government, citing urban experience as a factor.
It's a little different than the town. A lot of the fundamentals are the same, but when you're in a gateway city, there's always a lot of constant moving parts. This morning, someone walked in to talk about a building on South Main Street. We got a call from the DOT to talk about a homeless camp. We were talking about what's going on the waterfront. It's always moving. It's always different, and you got to be up to speed on a wide variety of subjects. It's what makes that person invaluable. And I think that that's what I'm looking for, someone that knows how things roll in the city of Fall River and what we can get done. And I believe we'll be going down that road shortly. And, you know, the candidates, some of the candidates didn't have any experience. Others had some things that might work, but I think the person I'm looking at can do it.
Residents have about a month and a half left to obtain nomination papers to run for mayor, city council, or school committee in this year's municipal election. Here's a list of who's taken out papers thus far. No new candidates have sought papers to run for mayor since the opening week of the process. Mayor Paul Coogan is seeking election to a fourth term. Others showing interest are Carlos Caesar, perennial candidate Michael Vandal, Alphonse Hathaway, and Gabriel Boomer Amaral. 13 residents have taken out papers to run for city council. They include 8 incumbents: Linda Pereira, Andrew Raposo, Paul Hart, Brad Kilby, Joe Camara, Michelle Dion, Cliff Ponte, and Sean Kadim. Appointed member Ricky Tith and challengers Laura Pacheco, Nathan Sylvia, former city councilor Christopher Peckham, and Louis Alves Mellum have also taken out papers. 8 individuals are now showing interest in running for school committee. Incumbent Kevin Aguiar, appointed member Colin Dias, and challengers Randy Scott Dudek, Gloria Sadler, Crystalline Cormier, Mark Nathaniel Mollicone, John Sylvia, and Anna Riley. The last day for candidates to submit their nomination papers for certification is July 19th. The city's preliminary election is scheduled for September 16th, with the municipal election slated for November 4th. FRC Media will once again be offering our resources to candidates to share their opinions on the issues with the voters of Fall River. The Elections Office is also reminding residents that if they have not returned their municipal census forms, to do so no later than this Monday, June 2nd. Chair Ryan Lyons says failure to do so may impact their ability to vote this fall.
If I don't receive your census form returned by the first Monday in June, your name is going to be placed on the inactive voter list. And as in previous years, we normally end up with about 20,000 registered voters whose names are placed on the inactive voter list. So what that means, unfortunately, when you go to vote on election day, and this year the preliminary is on September 16th and the municipal election is on November 4th, before you're allowed to cast a ballot, you will have to provide proof of identification to the precinct warden and complete an affirmation of residency before you're allowed to cast a ballot. So to prevent all that from happening, please return your municipal census so we can update your residential records and you will not have any problems casting a ballot on election day.
We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Credit Manager, Rexel USA, located at 221 Weaver Street, seeks a full-time credit manager responsible for the collection and analysis of credit information and financial data, ensuring payments are collected. Job number 225-52217. Seafood Processing Worker, Nantucket Sound Seafood, located at 1375 Airport Road, is looking for a part-time seafood processing worker to work the floor, shuck shelled seafood, and operate a forklift or pallet. Job number 225-51079. Resource Planning Coordinator, Liberty Utilities, located at 36 5th Street, is seeking a full-time resource planning coordinator responsible for overseeing and maintaining construction data and project tracking to support operational processes. Job number 225-40320. Clinician, St. Vincent Services, located at 2425 Highland Avenue, is looking for a full-time clinician. For more information, call 508-679-8511. Centerwell Home Health, located at 275 Martine Street, Suite 104, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions: speech language pathologist, job number 225-51376. Operational therapist, job number 225-51378. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
The Redcoats are coming!
My name is David Perry. I'm the president of the Greater Fall River Food Pantry. And what we do here is we provide food to clients that are in need. We're always trying to get more people involved in what we're doing, and we're trying to concentrate on youth. And it's all about helping people, and that's what we should all be doing, is helping someone. So it's a great opportunity for them to come down here and give us a couple of hours a week. It's not long, it's 2 hours a day. And once they start volunteering, it's like a family, it really is. So getting these younger people involved, it's just great. It's great to see. It's great to have younger generations seeing what's going on in the real world, as they call it, and helping out.
I've gotten a new outlook on the community. I've been able to see all sides, helped me learn just a lot about Fall River as a whole.
We like to get students in from 14 years of age and older. It's not about the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry. It's about what the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry does as an outreach. We want to reach out to the community. Most schools require that the students put in volunteer hours. We're a perfect example of receiving those students, and that way they get their hours accredited, and it gives them a good learning experience.
Volunteering here made you feel good, felt like you were helping out the community, and also it really helped me out with making my application stand out with having volunteer hours on them. Like when I'm applying for jobs, I've been on the hunt right now, and I've done a lot more interviews since I did charity work here. Makes you really stand out, and also just feels good helping out the community.
I love hearing other people's lives, how other people live, other people's families. It's interesting, and I really like to do this work.
Come down and see what it's like. Come down and take an opportunity to help someone else. Come and see what's really happening in the world out there.
Welcome back. June is Pride Month, and the Fall River Pride Committee has set aside events to celebrate the LGBTQIA+ community, beginning with the 6th Annual Pride Festival this Sunday from noon to 4 p.m. at the gates of the city.
When we first started, we had just a couple of hundred people when we did it over here at City Hall, and now over the last couple of years we've averaged almost 1,500 people. So this festival has really just kind of grown into something that I think Fall River should be very proud of. I'm very proud of us being able to do it, bringing together all sorts of people and all sorts of backgrounds and every type of family structure to come together to celebrate, to have fun, and to remember that diversity is one of our greatest strengths. People should be able to expect a little bit of what we've done in the past year, but this year we're just going a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder. So we're actually doing a road closure, and we're doing part of it as a food truck festival. We have 7 food trucks this year. We have re-added the stage. We added a kids corner with games and all sorts of fun, family fun for kids, for people of all ages. We are really excited to get into this event because this is kind of really kicking off the entire Pride season on Sunday, June 1st.
Later in the month, the committee is hosting 2 proms for adults and youth.
At prom every year, we create an opportunity for people in the community to apply to be our Mr., Miss, and Mix, MX as our non-binary title holder, to really just give an avenue for people to get involved and to help us with fundraisers, to become part of the committee through being a title holder. And we thought, what better way to coordinate that each year with the fabulous prom. But this year we're doing a little bit different, where we're also going to have a junior prom and a senior prom. So our junior prom will be on Friday, June 20th here at Recreation, 5 to 9 p.m. It's the last day of school for the kids. And then the following week, June 27th, will be our senior prom at the Cultural Center on South Main Street, 7 to 11.
Connell says the threats by the Trump administration to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the country is contrary to the American ideal that all are created equal.
not only that I think it's dangerous, I think it's really misguided. I think that there has to be an understanding that human beings who are gender diverse and have different types of sexualities have always existed. They've always been here, and we're always going to be here. So to try to say that there's only two genders, or that trans people are attacking kids and all of these kind of things, it creates an atmosphere of fear that demonizes queer people. I think, there's been a pushback too with heterosexual pride and things like that. The thing about that is heterosexuality has never been legislated. Being gay and being trans is legislated constantly. In the last 2 years alone, there's been over 700 bills introduced in every single state, including Massachusetts. So I think we have to come to realize that, yes, we need to have merit and you should work hard, but there also is a benefit to understand that diversity at the table creates cooperation, and it creates the stuff of greatness. That it's not anything that we should have to fear, and it's not about what we do in our bedrooms. It's about how we're able to live in public, how we're able to create the spaces that allow us to have a diverse population.
Connell says Massachusetts and Fall River are leaders in promoting diversity, and all are welcome to celebrate everyone's differences.
Every single person has a sexuality and has a gender identity. Everybody. We all have that. It's innate to who we are as humans, how we form bonds and how we form families. So Pride is a celebration of all of that. All Pride has ever kind of done is try to say that it's not just white and black. There's a lot of shades of gray. That sex exists on a spectrum, sexuality and gender exists on spectrums, that there's all sorts of ways that we manifest the ways that we live our lives. So anybody can get involved in Pride. The whole idea is to celebrate love and celebrate how we have families and to celebrate the differences between those, so we can kind of bridge the gaps in understanding and realize that we're all just humans having a human experience.
We'll wrap up this edition of FRC Media News right after this.
The Redcoats are coming!
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Khal Drogo. Not quite the same one from the TV show, but he is gigantic all the same. He is a Cane Corso. It's an Italian Mastiff. He's about 1.5 years old or so he still very much acts like a puppy despite his size. He is 1 pound shy of 100, 99 pounds he is. Whatever home he goes to, you're gonna need a lot of space for him to move around. He's gonna need time to get those walks in, plays out in the yard, all that sort of thing. He's not gonna be just a come home and chill on the couch kind of dude. He was abandoned, actually, unfortunately, in the apartment that he was living in, and the landlord ended up bringing him to us when the tenant never returned. He and his sister, actually, who is also, in case anyone's curious, a Cane Corso. Children, if you've got children in the home, we want them to be at least teenagers, like 12 plus. If you'd like to meet Khal Drogo, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter. Hope to see you.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Chapel Rowan. She is a 2-year-old domestic short-hair. She was unfortunately found abandoned while very pregnant. She stayed in foster at my house for the last few months, where she gave birth to 5 beautiful babies, and she is now ready to be adopted. She's a very sweet cat. She's very vocal as well. She's very sweet, very loving. She'll pretty much let you do whatever you want to her. She just loves being pet. She likes to be the center of attention, and she will let you know when you're not giving her enough. If you are interested in giving Chapel Rowan a good home, you can come on down to 300 Linwood Street in Forever Paws, and you can go to foreverpaws.com and find an online application.
That's all for this week's edition of FRC Media News. Visit our website, frmedia.org, for more local news and information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. on Channel 95 and the Fall River HD channel located on Channel 1072. We will leave you this week with a look back at the Memorial Day commemorations across Fall River. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.
Memorial Day is not just a date on the calendar. It's not just a time for cookouts. It is a national moment of truth, a day of reflection and reverence. It is about honoring those who never made it home. It is about remembering the ones who gave everything. Since the founding of our nation, more than 1.3 million American service members have died in wartime. From the battlefields of Lexington and Gettysburg to the trenches of Europe, the islands of the Pacific, the jungles of Vietnam, the sands of the Middle East and beyond, each name, each life represents a story of courage and sacrifice and love of country. And Fall River has never stood apart from that sacrifice. Our city has given sons and daughters, brave men and women who answered the call and paid the ultimate price in defense of our nation and our shared freedoms. You can find their names etched into granite in our parks and memorials, but you can also find them in the hearts of families across this city. Their memory lives in the soul of Fall River. We are proud to live in a community that remembers, not just the words, but with action. We gather, we mourn, we honor, and we teach the next generation to do the same. As we speak, American men and women are deployed around the world. Some are in active combat zones. Some are standing post on foreign soil, far from their families. They face danger daily out of duty, out of love, and out of the same unshakable commitment to freedom that binds every veteran across our nation. Let us not forget them today. Let us lift them in prayer. Let us commit ourselves to ensuring that we, when given the opportunity, support their mission, understanding that it is not done, also hoping they return home safe, honored, and never forgotten. Memorial Day is a call to memory, but it is also a call to action. Let us be a country that is worthy of those sacrifices. Let us live lives of service to others and one another. But most of all, let us take care of those who came home and never forget those who did not.